Have you ever wondered if there's a pattern, just beneath the surface of reality, like a master key to the universe that could unlock everything from miracles to the very fabric of existence? Well, today, we're diving into a source that claims to have found that exact key.
So let's just ask it straight up. Is there a universal key? The kind of thing scientists and sages have been hunting for throughout all of history. In this explainer, we're going to follow the clues laid out by our source, and they come from some very unexpected places. In our investigation, it doesn't start with scripture. It starts with science.
All right, first up, let's talk about a cosmic numerical code. The first piece of this puzzle comes from one of the most brilliant minds in the world of science.
Our source points us to the one and only Nikola Tesla. He was convinced that math wasn't something humans invented, right? It was something we discovered, a universal language. And he started to see this one pattern written everywhere in that language, a super simple doubling system. 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, and so on. He saw it governing everything, from how stars form to how our own cells divide.
But here's where it gets really interesting. The real mystery wasn't what was in the pattern, it's what was missing. Tesla noticed that 3 numbers, 3, 6, and 9, they just didn't fit. It was like they were operating on a completely different plane of existence, playing by their own set of rules.
So what was going on? According to our text, this higher dimension has a name, the flow field. The idea is that these numbers, 3, 6, and 9, are basically the key to a governing force, a higher energy that influences and controls everything else in the universe.
This whole concept is called sacred geometry. The source argues that these 3 numbers form a perfect hexagonal loop, the very foundation of cosmic balance. And you see this shape all over in nature, right? Think of a beehive. It's one of the strongest and most efficient structures there is. So the big idea here is that these numbers and this shape, they represent real cosmic power. And you're going to want to keep that hexagon in mind. It's important.
Okay, so we've got a potential code rooted in numbers and geometry, but where else could this pattern possibly show up? Well, this is where our source takes a sharp turn, pivoting from modern science straight into ancient scripture. It suggests the next clue is hidden in plain sight, right inside the Qur'an.
The source lays out this fascinating logic. It's kind of like a cosmic funnel. It says God starts with the general and then specifies the particular within it. So you start with all of creation, then you zoom into humankind. From all of humankind, you zoom in to the Prophet Muhammad. From all the cities in the world, you focus on Mecca. From all the holy books, you get the Qur'an. And from all the chapters of the Qur'an, everything gets concentrated into just one, Surah Al-Fatiha, the opening chapter.
And you can tell just how important Al-Fatiha is by its many names. It's not just the opening. It's called the healer, the foundation, the protector, even the treasure. The source makes a great point here. The more names something has, the greater its honor.
Now the source draws our attention to the specific wording in this verse. There's a big difference between God sending down a book and giving a miracle. The argument is that Al-Fatiha isn't just presented as another part of the book, it's framed as a separate, distinct gift, a miracle all on its own.
But of course, this great treasure holds another mystery. Out of all 28 letters in the Arabic alphabet, scholars noticed that 7 of them are completely, totally absent from this chapter. Now, if you believe that nothing in Scripture is an accident, you have to ask yourself, why were these specific letters left out?
Well, according to a story in the text, each one of these missing letters is linked to a negative idea. Tha for perdition, Jim for hell, Kha for filth. You see the pattern. So the interpretation is that these letters, with all their negative spiritual baggage, were deliberately left out to make Al-Fatiha a chapter of pure protection, pure healing, and pure light. Absolutely perfect and complete.
So if Al-Fatiha is the treasure, a perfect chapter of protection, does it have its own key? You bet it does. The source says yes.
And that key is the Basmalah, Ar-Rahman, which means in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. This single verse is presented as the key that unlocks not just the treasure of Al-Fatiha, but the entire Quran itself.
And this isn't just any phrase. The source traces its power all the way back through history. It was revealed to Adam. Noah sailed the ark with it. Abraham recited it to face the fire. Moses parted the sea. Solomon commanded kingdoms with its authority. Jesus healed people in its name. And finally, it was given as a permanent gift to the followers of Prophet Muhammad.
And now we're back to numbers again.
The basmalah is made of 19 Arabic letters. So why 19? The source connects this to the 19 angels who are said to guard the gates of hell, suggesting that each letter is its own form of divine protection.
Okay, so let's recap. We have a potential cosmic code from science on one side and a sacred key from scripture on the other. But is there a link between them? This is where the source tries to connect everything with one final, fascinating piece of evidence.
To bridge this gap, the text brings in the work of a Japanese researcher named Masaru Emoto. Now, his research was pretty controversial, but it was based on this radical idea that water has a memory, that you can actually change its physical structure with words, thoughts, and intentions.
So in an experiment our source cites, Emoto took samples of water, froze them, and the particles were just a chaotic mess. But then he had the basmalah recited over other water samples. And afterward, when they were frozen, they transformed into these beautiful, perfectly symmetrical crystals. And what was their shape? You got it, hexagonal.
And here it is. Here's the final connection, according to the source. When they analyzed the geometry of these incredible new crystals, the shapes were reportedly all based on multiples of the number 3.
So this is the direct line our source draws. It starts with Tesla's mysterious 369 code. That code points to sacred hexagonal geometry. And that exact same geometry is what supposedly appears in water when the sacred key, the basmalah, is recited. The cosmic code from science and the sacred key from scripture, they appear to produce the exact same physical result.
But hold on, there's a final twist. The source concludes that the power isn't in the words themselves, like some kind of magic spell. The real secret, it argues, lies in the internal state of the person using the key. A heart that is filled with absolute certainty, with total unwavering faith in the power behind those words.
And that leaves us with a fascinating final thought. After this whole journey through numbers, scripture, and water crystals, the source proposes that the ultimate key isn't a formula you can write down. It's a feeling, a state of absolute certainty. So the final question is, what would a key like that unlock in your world?